Because I'm not the type, like, I don't want, and this is where some of the relationships in the past have failed. They got complacent and all their focus came onto me. And it's like, I don't want all your attention. I need your attention to be on your goals. I'm not the goal. I'm the support. I'm your partner. I love you and you love me, but you don't abandon your goals because I'm in the picture now. And what that looks like is relationships when people get together, everything else falls off into the world and they're only focusing on each other. It's like, that's not who I am and I don't support that.
Welcome to Normalizing Non-Monogamy, the podcast where we interview incredible people from all over the world to hear their personal journeys of self-discovery through the lenses of love, sex, and relationships.
Our mission is to show people that they're not alone and to inspire them to embrace their true selves so that together we can open minds and live authentically without shame.
We believe everyone's story is powerful and beautiful, yet it's important to remember that everyone does life a little bit differently and that the views and opinions expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect our own.
Additionally, we aren't doctors. Please consult a medical professional for anything regarding your health that you might learn about on the show. Enjoy!
Welcome to episode 451. We're back!
We are back and we are excited to be back.
Yes, in case you missed it, we took the month of July off from releasing podcast episodes so we could spend some time with family and take a little breather.
Yeah, it's been a pretty intense year for us so far, and we also wanted to properly celebrate Emma's master's degree. Emma finished her master's degree at the end of May, so congratulations, Emma. Insert applause here.
Oh, thank you. Yes, so we took a little break, had a little reset, and now we're back and ready to rock.
Yep, and we're jumping in with a 4-part series featuring the leadership team from the Kink Collective in New York City. If you're not familiar, the Kink Collective is a community and educational organization dedicated to helping successful people build successful relationships built on the philosophy of people before kink. The idea that who we are comes before what we do. You can learn more about the Kink Collective on their website, which is linked in the show notes, or kinkcollective.net. Over the next 3 weeks, you'll hear the personal stories of the two founders, Joshua and Kat, as well as the Kink Collective's organizational manager, Natalie.
And then we bring all three of them together to hear how they've created a beautiful triad over the last few years in which they live, work, and play together. We're super excited to share these conversations with all of you, and today we're kicking it off with one of the co-founders, Joshua, as he shares his personal story of learning and navigating sex and relationships while also trying to figure out how to unlearn and reprogram what it means to be a man.
Yeah, Joshua's story is incredibly powerful and a vulnerable reminder that most of us are just out here doing the best we can with the tools and information that we have, and that along the way we make mistakes and do things we wish we hadn't, but our past actions don't have to define who we are today, but rather that we can learn, grow, heal, and repair ourselves and our relationships along the way.
And Joshua also sticks around to answer some bonus questions for our premium subscribers. If you're not familiar, our premium subscribers get ad-free podcast episodes plus a 10 to 15-minute bonus episode every week where our guests answer some fun extra questions and give us an opportunity to get to know them even deeper than we do during our regular interview. You can sign up on the homepage of our website at normalizingnonmonogamy.com for just $4 a month.
And you definitely do not want to miss this week's bonus questions with Joshua. He shares about getting caught while having sex, aftercare, exploring new ways to find pleasure in our bodies, and of course, anal fisting.
Of course.
Always got to have the anal fisting.
And with that, we're going to jump right into the episode for all of our premium subscribers. And for everyone else, we do have a couple of announcements.
First up, if you happen to be in the Bay Area, California, or maybe you're looking for a reason to fly out here to Oakland and hang out with Emma and Finn and a whole bunch of other people, we have an in-person speed friending event coming up on August 27th in Oakland, California. These are a great way to meet new friends in a low-pressure environment, and we host this event at a historic LGBTQ bar. It is super awesome. And also, after we're done with our event, they host karaoke.
Yes,
they
do.
Which is always a great time. So you can kind of kill two birds with one stone. But anyway, if you're not familiar with our speed friendings, what we do is we put you in groups of 3 or 4 people, and then we ask a fun or thought-provoking or maybe a fun thought-provoking question, maybe even sometimes a sexy question. Sometimes. You talk about that question for a few minutes with your group, and then we use our proprietary algorithm that is definitely not using AI.
It is
not using AI. It is very analog, but it works perfectly. And we scramble the groups, and then we ask a new question, and we do that over and over and over until you've met pretty much everybody in the room. It's a fantastic way to meet people, and we would love to have you come join us. You can find find more information under the events tab of our website, again at normalizingnonmonogamy.com. And one more time, that is August 27th.
And if you're not able to make it in person, or if you want more of this, we're hosting a virtual speed friending Friday, October 2nd. Mark your calendars. Come join us Friday, October 2nd for virtual speed friending. We used to do these events all of the time, almost every month, but we haven't done one since about January this year. So we're super excited to bring them back. And they work very similar to the in-person speed friending events, except that we use Zoom, and we use Zoom breakout rooms to put you in small groups to have your little discussion with everyone, and then bring you back, scramble the rooms, and start and continue going throughout the whole night for about 2 hours. You can find out more information and sign up over on our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com. Click on the events tab.
And just to be clear, we use that same proprietary algorithm.
We do.
The non-AI proprietary algorithm.
Oh, if you can't tell, Finn's super proud of this.
I am super proud of it because I am still firmly on the anti-AI train.
It's pretty great.
But all right, enough about that.
Also, a quick reminder that both of the events are open to anyone. You just must be open-minded and respectful.
Next up, if you are looking for even more community and connection than that, Emma and I lead a community full of over 300 people who socialize and support one another every single day. We host our community on a platform called Mighty Networks. We have monthly community support Zoom calls, monthly virtual workshops, and in-person events as well, all for less than $10 a month. And our next monthly virtual workshop, which again is included in that $10 a month, is going to be hosted on August 19th. It is called Transforming the Shame Triangle, and it is going to be led by Jessica Fern, which you may recognize that name as the author of Polysecure and the co-author of Polywise. So you're definitely going to want to come check this out. It's going to be a fantastic workshop, and you can learn more about the workshop and how to join over under the events tab of our website. And again, that is on August 19th. So sign up now. Don't miss it.
And to join the community, again, go over to our website, click on the community tab. You can read a bunch more information and sign up right there.
And really quick, we just threw a whole bunch of different dates and events and activities at you. Just to a reminder that you can head over to our website, normalizingnonmonogamy.com, click on the events tab, and there will be a calendar there where it sort of lists out everything so you can learn more about each one of these and you don't have to remember all of these dates. They're right there.
And finally, we want to remind all of you about our favorite way to get tested for STIs. It is stdcheck.com. You hear us talk about it all of the time. This is a fast, easy, discreet way to get tested for STIs. It is a service that Finn and I use. We've been using it for years. We wouldn't tell you about it otherwise. When you use the links on the resources tab of our website, you get $10 off, making a 10-panel test only $129. Thank you in advance for using those links, and thank you to anyone who's used the links in the past as well. It supports the podcast, so thank you so much for doing that.
And the very last thing we want to tell you all is that we would absolutely love to hear from you. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback for us, or best of all, you would like to come on the show just like Joshua and Kat and Natalie, or any of the other 450 guests that we've had on.
Yeah.
We would absolutely love to have you come on because this show does not happen without you. You can reach out to us over under the Contact Us tab, send us an email, and we will get back to you and we'll make it happen.
And with that, let's go and talk with Joshua. Well, welcome to the podcast, Joshua. We're excited to have you here today. We only know a very little bit about you, so we're excited to dive in and learn a lot more. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity, Emma. And Finn, it's really great to be back chatting with you. I'm looking for today's conversation.
But yeah, we're excited to chat today, Joshua. Maybe for anyone who's not familiar with you, just maybe a quick introduction to who is Joshua.
Absolutely. My name is Joshua. I was born in Miami. I grew up in New York City. I am Puerto Rican and Mexican, and I've been a sex worker for the last 15 years. I have a very storied life of different types of work. I was in the military. I was in law enforcement. I did a few things here and there. And ultimately, sex work and domination landed in my lap because it really allowed me to help people in ways that the other type of work couldn't. And my relationship with sex is storied as well, and intertwine that with multiple relationships and bad choices and a lived life. It's like I've got a lot to share.
Yeah. Well, I'm super thrilled. We get to dig into it all today. And it's, I think one of the best parts about doing this work is we get to hear the stories that most people don't get to tell out in the world. So
yeah,
excited to dig in today. And maybe, I don't know, maybe let's just go back in time from the beginning and kind of hear where you said you have a bit of a varied history with sex and sex work. And I'm curious, what where did you get your start in terms of like relationships, learning to relate, learning about sex? What did it look like for you in the beginning?
So what's fantastic is a lot of this information I've started to put different pieces together in the last few weeks,
Yeah,
through conversations and through reflection, sitting with a therapist and some of the men's groups that I run, being able to process in those spaces. And what I realize is neglect has a very big role to play in all of it.
mm,
And what I mean by that is I grew up in the 80s and the 90s. Both my parents worked. They were never home. I'd go to school, come home. I'd have to heat up my own food and they'd come back and long day. And, the routine of a lot of families from the 80s and the 90s. And while they didn't mistreat me, I felt invisible, especially when my younger brother came. And I was just there. And um, there was an absence of affection, an absence of intimacy because the parents were working, they're tired, they were doing their best job with what they have.
totally.
And also growing up in that time, being Latino, growing up here in East Harlem, to be a man was a real motivator, especially for myself, being that my parents were rarely home anyway. So it's like, I can't wait to go out and just be a man. But to be a man meant to have sex. At least that was what was projected onto me. And I started having sex at 12. Uh, Before this interview, I was thinking, before we got on earlier today, as I was prepping, I was thinking, I had my first two girlfriends in kindergarten.
Wow.
They were Kathy and Crystal. And I went to school at PS 161 on 135th and I want to say Amsterdam. So, Kathy and Crystal, if you hear this, I still think about you. uh, but it was more about relationship with girls more so than boyfriend and girlfriend. Right? I didn't know what that was, but my grandmother had taught me about being a gentleman, and she died in the late 80s from Alzheimer's, late 80s or early 90s. But she would be my caretaker when I was young, and she taught me about being a gentleman, and not from the toxic perspective that a lot of cultures project. She had her own story and her own relationship with men, and it was important for her that I be one of the good ones. Now, I took that to heart and I kept that as a big part of me for many years. The hard part about that is I started having sex at 12. Um, I would have, I think by the time I left to the Marines, I probably had three girlfriends over that period of time, which wasn't crazy. When I left for the military, I was with my high school sweetheart, and she was pregnant, and I went through boot camp, and that's when the problem started. And she wanted a divorce, and things got things got ugly real fast going through the family court system. And back then, the family court system wasn't built for men. And I don't know how it is nowadays, but back then it was like no matter how much right I would do, it wouldn't matter. And that really
And then you're like in your late teens at this point, right?
Oh yeah, and I was
Yeah.
19 years old.
Yeah.
And what's tough about that is it brought a lot of resentment into my life towards women and towards system because I had no power.
Mhm.
There was nothing I could do, nothing I could say to prove that I was doing all the right things. And that lasted about 8 years in the system before I threw in the towel. I had put in all this time, and the mother moved to Florida and put in for a hardship while I had custody, and it was really messy. And the courts just reverted everything back to square one after years of effort, years of work. It went back to the square one, and I broke. It broke me emotionally, it broke me mentally, spiritually, and I had this big resentment towards women. And what followed was I needed power over. I needed to have some power because all of it was taken from me. My daughter was taken from me. My character was taken from me. And I became a habitual cheater at that point. Uh, what what I learned in that time of my life was that I wasn't going to be subjected to someone else's pain or choices. And so from 19 or maybe my early 20s, very early 20s until my late 30s, I was just cheating. I would cheat before the other person would have the opportunity to hurt me. I was already doing my thing. And this pattern was subconscious to me. until my early 40s, when I realized the destruction that I did. And it brought in a big wave of disappointment and hurt and in myself. And ultimately, it had to come to a point of forgiveness, of self-forgiveness, saying, dude, like, and this is me talking with myself, I was only doing what I knew I could do because I felt powerless any other way. Uh, it wasn't until I met Kat 8 years ago where I was able to change my practices, because she gave me a safe space to be vulnerable, to talk about my past, to talk about my experiences, to talk about the things that I had stepped into that never came to fruition. For example, previous relationships, being in BDSM and leather, polyamory was starting to become pretty prevalent in that community as well. But the negotiations weren't happening the way they needed to. The discussions weren't happening the way they needed to, because either I was coming in with harm and fear, or the other person was coming in with harm and fear.
Or both.
And I wasn't, or both,
Yeah.
right? And I wasn't coming in with enough emotional maturity to be able to realign with who I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Because the driving force was what happened to me when I was 19.
Mhm.
And today, now I'm in a polyamorous relationship where everything's on the table. I've been able to find, and thankfully, thank God for Kat, who created space for me to walk and talk through the things that I've tried in the past that didn't work, that fell flat on the face, either things that changed mid-relationship in the past. But she gave me a space where I could actually talk, and where I could talk about my mistakes, missteps, and misdeeds. And she would sit there without judgment.
Yeah.
And it was over these last few years that I've really been able to unpack what was happening to me and why did I do it, because I never got a chance to sit down and ask myself in a relationship of why I couldn't show up the way I wanted to. And today, now it's myself, it's Kat, and it's Natalie. Natalie's in the BDSM terms, she's my slave, but on a larger scale, she's my partner. And the agreements and arrangements that we have in our relationship reflect all the changes that I needed to make for myself to bring some peace and grounding back into how I was showing up in relationships, because intuitively I knew I was doing wrong. I just didn't feel safe enough to do anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for you sharing all of that, Joshua. And I'm kind of curious. It sounds like, you said about 15 years ago you started getting into more of like the sex work and everything, but that it was only about 8 years ago that you sort of started to step into what felt like a better way. You had more space. And I'm curious what it looked like for you, maybe internally, that battle of like, I know this doesn't feel right, but you're now stepping into kink, sex work, BDSM, exploring, it sounds like, some non-traditional relationships. And like, I almost hear like a seeking of like a better way, but still not knowing like what the fuck. And I'm just kind of
That's
curious what it was like for you wrestling with those two at the same time.
That's exactly it. Wrestling with it, right? Because as I say it, right, when I first started processing this, it made it sound like I was out here terrorizing the world, and what there was outward facing and inward facing.
Yep.
Who I was in community and relationship and society, to my family, I was always trying to do the right thing, showing up, being a person of my word. I couldn't do it with the person closest to me because of the fear. Like, you have so much access to me, you're going to ruin my life. I just know it. And that's what was playing in my mind. Outward facing, when I started working with clients 15 plus years ago, I would see the release and the relief they would have just from the process of discussing their identity, their curiosities, their desires. I would help them with their relationships. I would help them reframe their relationship with power and how they were showing up. And then I would watch their life skyrocket. And it was like, why the fuck can't I do that for myself? And then I realized it was because I wasn't showing up for myself. I was abandoning myself. I was abandoning the person that I knew I could be. And yet I'm watching all of my clients take off. I would watch the people I would host events for. I would sit with them and talk about their relationships. I'd watch it take off. And I'm like, what is it about me that I can't do it? It was in the relationship previous to Kat that it all came to a head. And what I mean by that is in play partners, I was fine. No reason to hide. Everything was fantastic. It was just the person closest to me. I was together with my ex for about 5 years. When I met her, she was my secondary. I was already in a relationship, and they both knew about each other. Then I was still managing information. Who got to know what? Because I'm the dominant. I get to control the information. And it's like, that was another lesson I learned down the road. And I left my then primary, and I connected with my then secondary, who became my primary. And it was in that relationship where it just started multiplying and magnifying. I was watching all these relationships take off, and the one at home, I just couldn't. It drove me to a point of suicide numerous times, because I wasn't showing up as who I knew I could be. And I was just watching the relationship fall apart. I was watching projections from me to her to me. It emotionally and mentally was ruined. I left. I left out of need. I left because if I didn't leave, I'm not going to survive this. I'm going to do something to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And a few months later, she went and moved forward with canceling me. This was when Me Too kicked off, like a year after Me Too kicked off. Me Too was very necessary. There was a ton of predators out there doing bad shit and manipulating a lot of people in a lot of ways. Shortly after that, the Me Too movement became weaponized because the believe the victim approach followed. As a party promoter, I believe the victim. But what I also do is I ask the other party, because I need to know the whole story. That didn't happen with me. My reputation split like a great divide. Either you hate Master Joshua or you love Master Joshua. There was no middle ground. And the hate was a lot larger than the not hate.
Yeah.
In that time frame, it took me years to get to this point. What I realized, it got to the point where she said, fine, go do whatever you want. I, knowing better, that's not what that meant, but I used ethics to circumvent morals. If she said, fine, that's the consent I need. So then I went and I did everything I wanted.
That was your ex. That was the previous
That was my ex. That was my ex, the previous relationship. I knew that's not what it meant, but I was tired of all the shit not working. So I went and I did it. What she said in the cancellation was far left field. There was half-truths in there and then just some abominable shit. However, the role that I played and the reason why she went that far and the reason why I accept it and I understand why it's justified, it wasn't because I was lying and cheating. That was obvious. It was because women were using her to get to me and I was having sex with them. She was older than me, and that is extremely humiliating, right? If nothing, that just demoralized her and ate at her character and her identity at the cost of whatever I wanted to do. And when I finally put those pieces together, just the level of disrespect that was, it was like, no wonder you were so angry. I can't shake a stick at that. I deserved it because the humiliation, the lack of respect, the choices I was making, 100%. It was in that cancellation, though, that I found a reprieve. And I think this was the universe saying, Joshua, you've got 20 years of this shit. You need to stop. And this was the hammer that came. Very justified. Kat was the person who I was with at that time. And through all of that, behind the closed door stuff, cancellation aside, I couldn't live the way I was living anymore. And Kat gave me the space to grow the fuck up. And she would come and tell me what you need, and I'm not the person you think I am. And it was through repetition and practice over and over and over, being comfortable saying what I need to say and allowing it to land how it was going to land and handling it like mature adults. I tell people I didn't become a man until I turned 45.
Yeah.
And that was 2.5 years ago, right? It's like, because I really needed to find the courage in myself and the bravery in order to take the steps that I needed to in order to just tell the truth.
Mhm.
And it's because of Kat and the space Kat created and the relationships and power exchanges that I've had since then that helped me mold it and tighten it even better, because I got tired of lying. I got tired of omission. And it was a lot more omission than it was lying. But omission is just, to me, it's the same.
Yeah.
At the end of
Yeah.
the game, it's either it's the truth or it's not the truth.
Yeah.
And through my poor choices, like, I'm a statistic guy. Like, I have 4 kids, 4 different women. My relationship with sex was one of the most unhealthiest things. I was also diagnosed with ADHD a couple years ago. And that was a whole nother fucking eye-opening truth to uh what's the word? Well, there's hyper focus, there's all that other stuff, but my inability to resist,
Impulse control.
impulsivity, that's what it is.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
minute sex came on the table, I was like, yes, 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 yes. Because in some cases, it didn't even become a status thing anymore. There came a point where I wasn't just trying to impress anybody because I was already far ahead. At that point, I was just consuming bodies. And it was like, it took me until my 40s. I'm 47 now. I say 39 is when I slowed down, and Kat was the container. And I was able to look at everything I've done, especially the destruction and the poor choices. But ADHD also played a role in it, and I'm not blaming it. It's
Mhm.
just a factor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it's that ability to look back at our history. I don't know. I would just say, like, this is a path that, speak for myself, that I'm on at the moment, is like understanding more about my brain, understanding more about what has gone on for me in life, and looking back and being like, oh, like, not like, oh, no big deal, just, give myself a pass, but just like some understanding, some compassion, some grace for ourselves, that we were up against things that we didn't understand. Maybe we felt them, maybe we didn't even feel them. They were just like running away with us. And to be able to look back on that, it's sobering to be able to do that.
Hugely.
Yeah.
I think when I got the diagnosis, I was angry for like 2 weeks,
Hmm.
because when I said it, everyone was like, "Oh, you didn't know?" Fuck no, I didn't know. School was horrible. Math, I tried going back to college, and I stopped because I couldn't get past algebra, because the numbers move around. I felt so stupid, right? I felt,
Mhm.
because the other thing about sex is I'm 5'5". I'm not a basketball player. I'm not some super athlete. Like, I do MMA and stuff, but I'm not. I'm 47 now, right?
Mhm.
I'm also, academia was lost. If I can't get math, what can I do? So my relationship with sex was my power.
Hmm.
It was my power over. If I can be good at something, I can be good at this, and I could be
Yeah.
real good at it. And it was like, I also had no mentors. My older brother moved out. He was 9 years older. He moved out at 18. I was 9, right? My father was always working. Male role models were non-existent.
Right.
Like, when I was doing this men's group and they talk about who are your role models growing up, and I said Jesus, Malcolm X, and Spider-Man. Right? It's like, with great power comes a great responsibility, by any means necessary, and fucking walk the walk, right? It's like, they were all figures to me, but I didn't have people in my life to sit me down and have a conversation with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's a lot of factors in the life that I lived, uh, and by no means am I trying to excuse it. It's like you said, it's
No.
just circumstantial.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and I will say it makes sense, right? I think sex is one of those things that, when well, I don't know, the next couple of words are not going to be like the best words, but like, when you're doing it right, in quotes, the feedback you get is incredible. And if your brain is seeking that dopamine, and you've also been in a world where you're like, well, I'm not good at school, I'm not good at math, but look at the positive feedback I get over here. Of course, like, you're going to be like, more of that, please. Right. And
100%.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
The external validation was huge, huge.
Mhm.
Also, if I became so good, you couldn't leave me.
Yep.
You couldn't forget me.
Yep.
Right. So the rejection, because I dealt with a lot of rejection fears, but it was mostly about neglect, about no one being there.
Yep.
Mhm.
Totally.
Yeah. I'm curious, what was that the impetus for you starting in sex work 15 years ago?
So when I was in my late teens, mid-teens, I used to go to Times Square and I would hang out with the sex workers. And back then there was a lot of trans women, and I was just sitting. I'd learn their stories, and I became, I kind of became family. And in that time, there was nothing I could do. I could just sit, hold space, but I would feel bad because I would go back home, and they either lived on the streets or they lived, excuse me, deep in Brooklyn, where a few of them would live in a home and stuff like that. And I went to their spaces too, and it was like it was around seeing human beings for who human beings are and the work that goes into this. I didn't realize that. I didn't even think I would land back into sex work, and I wouldn't put these two together until maybe 5 or 6 years ago. That it actually came full circle when I was walking through Times Square and I saw the perch that we would sit on, and it all came back, and I was like, "Wow, I can't believe." Because back then I was like, "I wish there was something I could do for you." There wasn't. But now I can. And what I can do now is education. I help sex workers reframe their relationship with the work that they're doing. God forbid that they're doing it out of survival, right? That's a whole different beast. What it came down to me though is that the space that I get to create in sex work is, sex work is God's work because we get to create space for people to be authentic, to be real, to say what they really mean, that in a lot of cases they won't even share with their therapist. And it's like the burden of release of being witnessed is huge for me. And so I equate those two that way. Um, the sex work, I got into BDSM because sex hit a limit. Like I needed more knowledge. I needed more power, to put in quotes. Once I got into the BDSM community though, because again, my cheating was in my personal relationships. Outside of my intimate personal relationships, I was building strong connections, strong friendships where people trusted me with their information. And when I got into BDSM, I saw the power of holding space. And I built my reputation on space holding. I built my reputation on Joshua's the safe guy, that he's not here to hook up with me, because I wasn't. I was there because I would sit and I'd watch the energy of kink spaces, which people talk like kink is like the next mecca. It's like, no, it's just a different paint job. People are showing up there with the same problems too. It's just there's a permission in kink spaces that a lot of other spaces don't have. And the consent culture, and I'll put that in air quotes too, because that's also shifting a bit too.
Mm-hmm.
So I came into BDSM for more knowledge. When I showed up and I gained was more power. And it changed from power over to power with, because it's like, it was just invaluable, the relationships I was building. It was in that time that I learned about healing, meaning helping a person reframe their lived experiences, helping them develop a better relationship with their body, helping them learn how to establish better relationships with their intimate partners. And as I was watching it unfold, the hypocrite
Mm-hmm.
was starting to show.
Mhm.
It's like, how can I tell these guys this? And then when they leave, I go home and I do that. And then the shame and the guilt started to build. And I think that's where a lot of the inner turmoil and anger showed up in my previous relationship, because by then I was already so deep in, I didn't feel like I could change course.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful, Joshua. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's how you started then working in that field.
The working in the field was because I needed money. And by then I was already doing BDSM. I was like really good at it technically. And this guy reached out and he saw me on one of the apps and he was like, could you humiliate me? Essentially, he wanted to be treated like a junkyard dog and like to be humiliated and degraded. And I'm like, yeah, I could do that. So this is my first session. This guy was a upper management. He was like up the chain of command. And I went and we did his thing. And at the end of it, I saw him laying there free. And I was like, this is what I need to be doing, because I can affect change in real time. And it was really empowering. And so that's what got me into the work.
Yeah.
And it kept me in the approach of, how do I help people through this versus the objectification and sexualization of it. Everyone has their thing.
Yeah.
This is just the road I choose to come down.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious for you coming through this, right? This I don't know, I just hear so much of like this inner turmoil of like, here's who I am, here's who I feel like here's who I'm trying to be, and it keep like almost like keep getting in my way, and then you get to a point where this partner of yours sort of calls you out. You've said like getting canceled and all that. I'm curious, what was your path sort of, I don't know, back? What was your path to repair and restore your sort of coming into rightness with yourself, coming right into it with the community? Like, were you able to repair with her at all? Like, I'm just kind of curious what the path took you on at that point where, I mean, I imagine the whole world kind of fell out from under you at that point.
Yeah. It was a very isolating experience. Like, I want to make a point so I can come back to it. I've helped people since with their cancellations, but I'll get back to that in a second, because everything fell out from under me, and it turned into a free fall. I never got to make amends with her because, from my understanding, she's still going through her cycle of anger, and it's like, it is what it is. We'll get there when we get there. She had a former mentee after our breakup, and she plays a significant role in this. So this happened back 8 years ago. And for the first year, I had organizations reaching out to me. Some of these places I'd never even been, and they were sending me these lifetime bans. There's an organization, Tess Onyx, I was the pledge master for, and they cut me from there. Dark Odyssey. There was all these organizations that they just sent these letters, and I'm like, dude, I don't even know you. I would ask about appeals. Tess wanted me to sign a non-disclosure agreement to talk about my stuff. It's like, dude, it's my story. You can't shut me down because you're an organization. It turned out that there was a lot of political shit aligned with it, to the degree that it fell on me. Essentially, she had a space in the city. All these organizations were trying to collaborate to get access so that they had space, and it's a whole to-do. And I don't say that without the evidence to support it, right? I wouldn't just put these claims out there just to say it. So fast forward, I was also still teaching. I was still traveling the country, teaching in different spaces. And what happened is, I would have to lead with these organizations. Hi, my name is Joshua. Just in case this is what may follow me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that helped me get my foot in the door so I can start telling my side of the story before they close their doors with no interest. Now, very polarizing, very isolating. Fast forward, I always had an open door policy because no one ever came to me to ask me my side. And there's been no reconciliation. There's no restorative justice. That's one of the other things that these communities talk about, is like restorative, transformative justice. But no one does it because it takes effort. It's funny to say I do, and I've been doing it for years now because of the work that I do. I do men's work. I do community work. I help people. Even when I was hosting events and I was still going through my cancellation, I was still mediating people to come back to baseline so that they can move forward. So fast forward maybe 5 years, and her former mentee posted something on Facebook about integrity and leather, because this whole thing about leather community is that the foundation is supposed to be integrity and transparency and truth. And if you're not pursuing that in the most uncomfortable times, then it's just role play. She responded to me on social media, and so I said, listen, if you want to connect, I'm here. I would love to meet, because she would be the first person in years that I would actually get to tell the whole story. And sure as shit, she showed up at Starbucks, and we sat there for 2 hours, and I showed her all the evidence, and she was like, no one came to speak to you? I said, nobody. And she goes, that's unreal. So on our departure, she goes, I'm going to have to tell her, right? I said, listen, that's between you and God. I'm just glad you gave me the time to hear my side of the story. Cool. She left. Fast forward about a year and a half later, and I would still see her on social media, and I would invite her to our space to come to the events, because leather is a practice for me. It's not just a culture. I don't just wear it. It's about character and how a person shows up, and that's how I embody leather. And she does the same. So I would just reach out to her every now and then whenever we were doing something. She finally said yes, she'd come. So I had her get here early, and she had dinner with me and Kat and everyone in the house. She didn't expect this. This was a woman who was the mentee of the woman who canceled me. And she even had a role to play in it, which her and I spoke about. Fast forward from that time where we connected. We were on a phone call once, and she said, I ended up telling her that we met. And she says, I made the mistake because we were driving. We were going on a road trip for 8 hours. And I told her at the beginning of the road trip. And she flew off the handle. And I was like, really? She goes, but listen to this. She says, when I told her, she said, I knew you were using him to get to me. And when she said that, it all made sense. Because, and that in the beginning of the sharing is when I said the level of disrespect and humiliation. It wasn't even on my radar that that's how she was receiving it. And that's exactly what happened for 5 years. Just about. And it's like, when she said that, I was like, no wonder. I was ready to apologize there, because none of it was in my view until her former mentee was able to lay it out for me. And I was just extremely disappointed. It wasn't just her. It was everyone in my past that I did that to. And my son's mom, all of my daughter's moms, like to whatever degree that was, it's like, what did I do? Yeah. And even to this day, I mean, I still get a message a week or a month saying, "Oh, Joshua, you're the bad guy. You got to ban you." It's like, dude, at this point, it's like you don't even know me, man. Like you're, so it's still active. And the way I experience it now is like, if you don't have the courage to ask what happened, we have no reason to talk. Because at the end of the day, I had my role to play, but it wasn't me out here playing the villain, right? It was me going through my lived experience, and I'm on the other side of owning my shit. And that's the difference, though, around a lot of it is the level of maturity in which this stuff needs to be handled.
Yeah.
What ended up happening over the last maybe 4 or 5 years, as more and more people were getting accused through either bad relationships or for being assholes, because I've had assholes reach out to me who are guilty as shit, talking about, how do I repair my reputation? It's like, well, did you do it? Yes. Did you own it? No. There's nothing for us to do. Like, you got to own your shit. And I also, maybe about half a dozen folks, I've literally talked back from the ledge since then, because they're going through their own version of it, and leaving this world has been an option for every one of us to some degree because of the level of isolation. And for the ones that I did hold space for and that we did talk, it's like, did they have a role to play? Absolutely. And they're not bad people. They made bad choices. But yeah, very isolating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you digging into it a little bit and sharing, because I think this is one of those, like you said, there are people out there who, take advantage, and they're doing this calculated, premeditated, and then there are a lot of people who, sometimes the image comes to mind is like like the golden retriever who's just like running around, like doing their thing, and they don't realize they're knocking cups over and people are getting stomped on, and then when they realize it, it's like, oh shit, like look at the path I've left behind me, and to step back and try to, like you said, own that, make amends where you can, do repair where you can, make shifts going forward, be more aware. Like what is the other option? Is you just say, well, I fucked up. I guess I'm done, and I just give up. Like what other option do you have other than like own it and try to move forward and do better?
What I've seen with it, because I know a handful of bad actors, And their MO was to disappear for a period of time, change their look, change their city, change their name, and then show up again.
Yeah.
I had a guy try to do that in my space. When it first happened, the Me Too movement, people disappeared within 48 hours, 72 hours, if they weren't called out. And this one individual was called out. And I remember because when I first met his ass, he had an attitude about a suspension ring, but I asked him about it. He had an attitude, and this was like 15, 16 years ago. I said, cool, I know to stay away from you. Fast forward till about 2 years ago, after he disappeared for a few years, he showed up in the space and he shaved his dreads. He had a bald head. I'm like, I know you from somewhere. I know you from somewhere. It took me weeks. And then I woke up one morning, I'm like, that's who it is. And sure as shit, when I came in, he had sent someone a letter, said, listen, I got to disappear from the community. I'm leaving town for a bit. I'll see you when I come back. So I never got to address it with him. But it's like there's signs out there too, right? There's the thing about all this lifestyle stuff, whether it's poly, whether it's swing, whether it's kink, whatever it is, knowledge is knowledge. And if a person is speaking the right language, it's going to be very hard to tell who's a bad actor versus who has bad timing or who doesn't have enough experience or who just doesn't know, because it all sounds the same. But it's like, well, what's the consistent pattern? What does that tell you?
Yeah. You can speak all the right words. You can use the language. You can blend in with the lingo. But what's actually happening? Yeah. Well, I'm kind of curious, Joshua. At moving forward, then you meet Kat, and you're able to really give yourself some space to start figuring out how to do this in a way that feels good to you. And I'm curious, what did that look like, and what was the shift for you to like be able to be you with, I won't say without all that shame, because that shame just doesn't go away overnight. But what is it like to start exploring under those conditions and in that way?
Well, and figuring out, I think what you just described is the process of learning and then trying to own your shit through that.
It was difficult, man. I questioned Kat a lot. I questioned her intention, her motives a lot, because every time I would get into a relationship, the person wanted me for themselves. Right. And it's like, he's mine, he's mine, he's mine. I mean, the ex was saying to friends of mine, oh, you're only the flavor of the week. He's going to have a new one next week, like to try to talk them to get away from me. And that's what I was waiting for with Kat, because that's what I experienced. I was just waiting for the cycle to return and repeat itself. So everything she was saying for the first year, I was taking with a grain of salt. I didn't even want to put a label on the relationship, because I was like, at any moment, this shit's going to explode. And she didn't. And she dug in, and she walked with me through a lot of my hardships. She reinforced her safety and her open-mindedness by bringing up and having conversations that I would be afraid to have. Say, listen, if this is what you need, it's okay. I just need to know. And that was hard to believe, because every time someone just needed to know, when I said it, it was too much. And it was like, but I don't trust you. I don't trust you. I wouldn't say that, but I'd feel it. And then slowly but surely, I would come out of the cage, because she gave me the space and the permission. And it was in this relationship that I didn't want to ask for forgiveness. I wanted to ask for permission, because she gave me so much birth to release. I didn't want to, not only did I not want to ruin it, I didn't want to hurt her. And I didn't want to hurt her out of my own fear. I was able to finally take it off of me and look at it and say, this is not who I want to be. And here's this woman who's giving me the space to really do it. And it was like an abused animal, right, with a new owner, not really sure how to respond. At the same time, she was doing her own spiral, because her whole life just got turned upside down. And this was the part where, because before we were in a relationship, she was other. She was outside of me. So I could show up, I could be who I wanted to with her. However, as we got closer, my defenses started to come up. And then once we were together, it was like, it was really difficult to speak on the things that I desired, because The other thing is, it's not that I'm not out here looking for a replacement for what I didn't have in relationship. I was out there looking to feed a hunger. I mean, I went to Sex Addicts Anonymous for a period of time. For a period of time, I thought about cutting off my cock because it was bringing me so much. My behaviors around it were fucking up my life, and it's like I was all these things on how do I stop doing what I'm doing, and it was Kat and her time that she gave me that allowed me to put my sword and shield down. It was like, dude, there's no battle here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. And that took time.
That took time. That took time. You know, now every day I wake up, I think I thank God for Kat when I wake up. I thank God for her in the middle of the day and before I go to bed. You know, I look at her at night sometimes because she goes to sleep before I do. And I'm like, I just have so many blessings and I worship her because she helped me. She saved my life.
It's beautiful. So powerful. I mean, what what is more powerful than that, right?
And, nothing. Like love is, and it doesn't, like, the other thing is my relationships, who I'm in love with, who I love, how I love, like I would have never put any of this to it. Like I could have never painted this picture.
Mhm.
And it's all thanks to not wanting to be a coward anymore, to wanting to step up into responsibility, to wanting to be, to not wanting to have to manage a story and just to love openly and realistically with someone. It's really life changing. And no one ever taught me how to do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Joshua, in this, when you've started to step into this place where you can speak your desires and share them with somebody where it's okay and it's safe, how close did what you were able to speak, we'll say your truth, how closely did that line up to, I don't know the right wording here, but like the behavior, the activities, like maybe it's like you had a lot of sex with people and you talked about like it didn't feel good in a certain way, but I'm curious now that you're able to like speak it and be honest about it, how closely was like what you were doing lined up with like what who you feel you are, if that makes sense? Like the activities you were doing, like was that still, or is that still sort of how you like to connect and relate and love? Or was that a symptom of not having any other outlet? I don't know. Does that make sense?
That's a great fucking question, dude. I love it. I love it. I think it's a mixture of both.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, now my number is really fucking high. It's not something I carry with pride, but it's not something I regret either.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Over the last few weeks, polysexual versus polyamory came into my radar.
Mm.
And I'm definitely a polysexual person. Why? I think it has to come back to old parts of me where and I'm not in competition with anybody,
Mm-hmm.
but it's about a feeling that it provides me, it fills my cup.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about ability. And I'm going to use a word and it may sound fucking wild, but there's a conquering that happens that it's like, look at my masterpiece. And I just look at the play space, how fucking wrecked it is. It's like, I did this. Ah, but I only want to do that with people who I trust, who I feel safe with. It's not someone walking down the street because they look a certain way. It's like, dude, to get that access to me, to this experience, I need something in return. And that's safety. And that's communication. And that's respect, not only for me, but for my partners and for my relationship. Because I love physical intimacy. I love giving and creating and having experiences. And I also love watching you take off, not like leave, take off, but like
Mm-hmm.
from this experience, you find your permissions, you find the ability to explore and experience your body in a way that you've never have. And it's like you get these permissions. And it's like, for me, it's about unlocking permissions. Uh, with that, it's like, it's myself, it's Kat, and it's Natalie. We have a few other people we connect with. However, the relationship focus is Kat and Natalie because we're building our intimate relationships together. We're building our profession together. A lot of our practices and our the belief system, essentially, it's people before kink, right? You are who you are before what you do. I'm a whole person. Natalie, even though she's my slave through negotiation, she's a woman too. She's her own entity, and Kat is her own entity. And whoever is the strongest in whatever fields leads, I don't want to ruin that. I don't want some desire to come in and throw a wrench into that shit just because I'm thinking with my dick. And it's like, that's changed big time. Because I also, in the last few years, maybe even months, it's the reality that I don't have the capacity that, fuck it, let's see what happens, would introduce. It's like,
Yeah.
no, let's not see what happens. Like, you come over, we can play, we can do some shit, but then I can't take you into consideration in my life choices because we're not on that path. And it's taken me years to find that language and more years to even give myself permission to use it.
And to differentiate those two things.
Hugely.
Yeah.
Well, and that is the difference between, right? Yeah, like you said, like, just come over and we'll just see what happens versus like, hey, let's come over and here's the sandbox we can play in. Here's what you can expect after today is over. And it's, I don't know, this is like sort of how I often look at it, is like, once we create that, we can step into it and then we can go, let's see what happens in here. In this space, because we've created the container that let's see what happens can exist in, because we know what actually happens in life, and we're going to do this in a way that my life doesn't blow up, yours doesn't blow up, we don't ruin our businesses, whatever it is out there that we're protecting, but like we can still have a little bit of that let's see what happens energy. We just contain it a little bit different.
100%. I'm writing a book around this. And it's like the container, the boundaries give the freedom.
Yeah.
Once I know what I can't do, then I can run around everything else. And I don't need unadulterated, unfiltered access. I don't want that. I mean, I may want to ask you a question that like it's really deep and personal, but it's like that's within the framework of what we're agreeing to.
Yeah.
And in the past, I didn't even consider containers. It was like, well, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Yep. Very irresponsible.
Yeah. Yeah. But if we don't know, we don't know.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, so you and Natalie and Kat have been together for a little while now, correct? But before that, how did you and Kat figure out what relationship style and structure worked for you? I imagine that also took time throughout.
Hell yeah, it did. Because like I have been in at least 3 or 4 different types of power exchange relationships in the last 8 years with Kat. Kat had the patience to watch it build and watch them succeed in their own ways, then watch them end. In some ways, and I'm ashamed to say it, but some of them would treat Kat like another. And for a period of time, I tolerated that because I was still figuring shit out. And at the end of the day, she was not the other. She is the one. And the other relationships, they couldn't respect the relationship there enough to even ask, what did I need in the larger picture? Because having different lives doesn't work for me. I can't have independent relationships. Yeah, Natalie and I, we have our date nights and stuff like that too. Kat and I, we have our time together too. But I don't want to have 2 separate lives or 3 separate lives. And that's what, over time, that's what Kat and I worked through. Certain power exchanges that were taking time for me. And what I learned in those, I mean, none of them were dead ends and none of them were failures. They were all lessons in things I wasn't saying. In some ways, they were showing me how I was neglecting Kat intimately or romantically because I would do things with this other person that I didn't even consider doing with Kat because we've been together for so many years. My mind doesn't go there. And I only say this word neglecting Kat because of this men's group I did on Tuesday where that shit finally came out my mouth. It's like, I need to be cuddling with her on the sofa. I need to go lay down with her sometimes when she goes lay down and she's ready for bed. And Natalie wants to stay up. It's like, that's neglect too. Neglect isn't just ugly. Sometimes it's silent. And I had to be real with myself around that. All of these relationships showed me where I was either underperforming or where I was performing well with Kat too.
Mhm.
So they've all been eye openers for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, mirrors to us.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I say, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff in our relationship, but I don't often hear the hardships of this stuff. So like for anyone that's listening to this, I want you guys like to hear that there's a lot of great, I wouldn't be doing polyamory if I didn't think there was a great experience to have these loving relationships with it. I also wouldn't wish polyamory on my worst enemy.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it takes
Well,
a lot of work.
it does. It does. Well, and I'm curious for you, Joshua, what is the driver that keeps pulling you back in? Like what makes it worth it to you to keep doing this really hard? I mean, nothing you've described today sounds like it was a cakewalk. And so I'm curious what keeps you coming back to this?
So there's an idea called multipliers. And what I mean by that, you ever hear 1 + 1 = 3?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Kat makes me so much bigger, so much smarter, so much more empowered when she's with me. So it's her brain and it's my brain. That's the two. And then it's our brains together, which is 3. There was a point where there was 7 of us all together. And that, to me, that was the multiplier. We were all multiplying each other's potential. We were multiplying each other's goals. We were multiplying each other's outcomes. And it was like, it was a driving force of trusted partnership and the freedom and the power that comes with it. Because I'm not the type, like, I don't want, and this is where some of the relationships in the past have failed. They got complacent and all their focus came onto me. And it's like, I don't want all your attention. I need your attention to be on your goals. I'm not the goal. I'm the support. I'm your partner. I love you and you love me, but you don't abandon your goals because I'm in the picture now. And what that looks like is relationships when people get together, everything else falls off into the world and they're only focusing on each other. It's like, that's not who I am and I don't support that. And that's what keeps me in it, is the multiplication of it. And with me, Kat, and Natalie now, Natalie on the other day, went on a walk and she came in because Kat and I are co-founders of the Kink Collective. And our job is to help people reframe their relationship with sexuality, unlearn old frameworks, and learn how to establish deeper connection in relationships. When Natalie and I connected, she's 20 something years younger than me. I want to say like 22 years younger than me. When her and I connected, she, I think, is the recipient of all of my fuck ups corrected. When I met Natalie, I said, "Listen, I'm going to speak to you in a way that no one's ever spoken to you ever before. I'm going to be straight up, truthful, transparent. You can ask me anything ever, and I will never shut you out. And I expect the same in return. If I feel like you're not telling me the truth, this isn't going to work. How's that sound?" She was like, "Great." This is a very summarized version of it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Said, "Great." And we went into the relationship like that, where it's like, she's going to be straight up truthful and I can call her out and she has the permission to call me out on all of my shit. Cause what drew me to her is she's working on her mental health intentionally at a younger age than most people ever will. And my job in this relationship is to support her and her health and her growth and her goals and her dreams, and hers is to support me and mine. A couple of weeks ago, she says the reason why, because she manages us. She's our manager kind of now, right? My slave is my boss. and and she says she goes, the reason why there was a a disagreement in website design, and she goes, the reason why I'm pushing on this so hard is because I believe in this. I'm not just here because I'm your slave. I believe in the purpose. And when she said that, everything shifted for me because I didn't want to make my goals her goals. I wanted her to have her independent life, but her seeing the power of the work we're doing, she says, I'm just as committed to this as you are. And that really shifted things for me because this is my life's work. I think for Kat, in a lot of ways, this is going to be some of hers. When Natalie said that to me, it validated everything we've been doing. For someone else to really not just support me, but to believe in it. It was like, that's a whole different layer of connection and trust. And that's why I stay in it, is because she believes in me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that actually, I was going to ask a little bit about the Kink Collective, and so you moved right into that beautifully. So with you and Kat, I know we just talked to Kat, and that was last episode. But from your perspective, can you describe a little bit of that inspiration for you and creating this with Kat?
So when I broke up with my ex, because her and I used to do parties together, and it was under a different name. When we split up, so did the people who supported us.
Mm-hmm.
And the people who came with me, every one of them in some capacity or another shows up in community very much similarly. They're trustworthy, they're educated, they're humble. If they don't know, they'll point you in the right direction, but they're all people of service. So the Kink Collective started with maybe a little over a dozen folks who believe in the idea that you're a whole person before anything else. The philosophy People Before Kink was created, but the practice was, regardless of how you identify, you're a human being. And that's how everyone is treated coming into the door. It started off as a leather family with the idea of creating a space where people can go and they know they're going to get the same thing every time they go, around acceptance, equality, a name tag like, you too belong here and you too need to take up space here. And that philosophy and that framework has grown. It started when I left my ex, and Kat and I got together because Kat's approach to hosting events was very similar to mine. It's about community, it's about equality, it's about people being seen and having a voice. The way it's evolved over the last 8 years now, Kink is the avenue in which people who we connect with get here. Meaning Kink has a particular permission in its spaces that allows people, almost encourages people to be open, to be communicative, to speak about this particular part of your life, which for a lot of people, they keep in the closet. So it's like there's permissions here to come out and step out. The collective part of it is everyone who has done this type of education and work, there's a level of emotional maturity and personal responsibility that they're willing to step into and say, this is the role I play in this. And that's who the Kink Collective is now. We're an organization with students and alumni from across the world over the last 8 years who their intention is to evolve and develop emotionally and also responsibly in techniques and practices and education when it comes to kink.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. Thank you, Joshua. And, it kind of, Kat shared with us in her episode, one of your sort of mantras, and it was funny because it overlaps with mine, is that you can't learn to swim by reading. And that's the thing that it was when she said it, I was like, stealing my damn quotes. But yeah, it was, the one that I often lean on is like, Michael Phelps is obviously an incredible swimmer, and he's probably even good at teaching, perhaps. But the thing, and that's not to say he didn't have to work hard to get where he is, but like you've walked the walk and you've walked the path that you're teaching, right? You're not just standing up here being like, hey, here's how not to get canceled, or here's how to come back from it, from somebody who's never gone through it, right? You can speak to these things. You learned to swim in the water, and now you're helping people learn to swim in the water. And I think that's a really powerful place to come to it from.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Yeah. The phrase is, you can't learn how to swim by reading a book.
Yep.
And it's like, the idea is, because kink is very similar. It's like, especially like, because we teach mental health professionals, we have programs for therapists and stuff like that. And the level of vulnerability a dominant is asking from the submissive, generally speaking. I can point this in any direction.
Oh, yeah.
If the dominant has never experienced submission, a dominant will not know the vulnerability and the fear of divulging some of this information, of going down this road. So it's like the element of compassion is missing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you've never been in the water and you're trying to learn how to swim, and you read a book for 13 years and then you finally jump in and your feet don't touch the ground, that changes the whole story.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, right? So it's like the
They
idea
didn't tell me
behind
that in
all
the
of
book.
the idea is to learn from someone who's gone through it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be us, but just
Mhm.
learn from someone who's gone through, because there's a level of validation from being seen from someone who's suffered similarly, from someone who's gone through the same hardships, that
Yep.
you can't get that from someone from the sidelines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to your point, being open to experiencing different roles as well, to at least experience, to see, even if it's not necessarily the one you're seeking or feel most comfortable with yourself, to at least experience it so that you have an understanding of what it might be like.
100%. 100%.
Empathy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I before we let you go, Joshua, I had maybe a technical question or I guess around this. So you've used a few different words, and I'm curious. So you've talked about dominants and submissives, and you also talked about Natalie being in a slave role to you. And I'm just curious. We talked about this with somebody a couple of weeks ago because they were talking about this, and we've heard a lot of sort of pull back from using the language of slave. And I'm curious, as somebody who educates in this space, it sounds like you're using both. And I'm curious the difference for you and sort of what your understanding of that is right now.
So when it comes to language and people being offended, I'm pretty loose on that.
Okay.
I believe that this world is full of offense. I mean,
Mhm.
you listen to the music, you look at the TV shows. If you're over 18, the chances that you'll be offended by something out there any day is high risk. I choose to do this, and I choose to do it with my slave who also chooses to do this.
Mhm.
Like sometimes we walk in public on a leash and collar, minding who's present and shit like that. And it's like, people are like, well, no one's consenting to do it. It's like, there's nothing to do with consent. This has everything to do with public displays of affection and intimacy between her and I.
Sure.
If you're offended by what you see with us, that's on you.
Yeah.
Because if you stopped and spoke to us, you would understand that she asks for it because it helps her feel connected in a way that she can't 99% of the time.
Mhm.
And when it comes to slave, it's a charged word. Every race on this planet has at one point been under the foot of someone else. And I get that. And I get that. There was one time, I probably wouldn't do this shit again, but one of our leather brothers, he's a young black gentleman, and he was brand new at this. And we were in Coney Island. He was like, "Sir, could you walk me on a leash?" And I'm like, and it was during Black Pride, and we were out there because I was with Onyx and he was a member of Onyx. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. And we walked down Coney Island like that, and we got looks and shit like that. And it was like, but come and ask.
Yeah.
Come and talk to us. I think the idea that mandating or legislating people to use certain language is wrong. I believe in freedom of expression. I believe in freedom of choice. I believe in freedom to the point of offense, because if we legislate how people can show up, then we're taking people's autonomy away too. And I don't agree with that either. Like I've experienced racism. I've experienced all types of shit myself. I'm Latino. I grew up in a black neighborhood. My name would beat me wherever I go. Rodriguez is my last name. So any type of employer I got, I was already on the underside of things, especially when government, like all the white guys were getting promoted. But Jay, you look white. My last name says otherwise. Right. So it's like, I've learned to adapt to what makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And it makes me curious. Why am I uncomfortable? Because I'm also not projecting it onto anyone. And I'm not Master Joshua to everybody. I'm Master Joshua to my slave. And anyone else who chooses to call me that, that's cool. But I introduce myself as Joshua because that's who I am. I'm just another guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I appreciate it, Joshua. And I'm really looking forward to, tomorrow we get to talk with the three of you and hearing about sort of how you move through this. Cause one of the things that came through to me in our conversation was the roles that you two play in your relationship, they don't limit true power, right? You said it many times, like Natalie is here as an autonomous woman doing her thing on her own journey, and I'm here to support that. And these are roles that you play and you step into, and I'm sure they serve a whole lot of supportive purposes, but it's not about taking anything from anybody.
It's not. And the whole point of it is choice. If
Yeah.
choice is taken away, that's a flag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um, in our agreements, again, I tell people I couldn't be for Natalie at 27 who I am at 47.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the fucking tools. But for such a young, bright, driven woman who has her goals, who has her intentions, I love to support her. And do we have the opportunity to connect with other people? It's not a closed poly.
Mhm.
But whoever comes to the door better have a fucking awesome resume and a big heart and be able to perform, because this isn't a roller coaster.
Yeah.
The threshold is high because there's a lot at stake.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Joshua.
Yes. I'm curious if there's anything else you wanted to get out there today.
I really appreciated this conversation. I really appreciated you guys. Just a lot of gratitude and thanks to you guys for the space that you create and for the information that you guys put out there, man. And like, I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And thank you for the conversation as well. Like none of this is easy stuff to talk about. What you've gone through, the sort of coming to terms with it is really vulnerable to share. And we're just really grateful for that. So thank you.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Maybe a message I do have for folks out there.
Sure.
If you only ever hear the whole point of relationships for me, as I've learned, is truth and transparency. And it's not just intimate relationships, it's every relationship. If there's not a relationship I can't go to and be honest and open and ask questions, then maybe that relationship isn't for me. If it's intimate, if it's professional, if it's personal, if I can't feel safe, seen, and heard, that's something that I consider. And I would offer that to the listeners to consider that. With a little caveat, sometimes people need to be invited out. So what that looks like is I'll meet you where you're at, but I'll invite you to come out by mirroring vulnerability and by asking questions that are important for me and my willingness to show you my hand before you show me yours and lead by example.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that and for the conversation today too. It was really wonderful to talk with you and I'm excited for the bonus questions as well.
Yeah, me too. Thank you guys so much. What a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, likewise. So, all right. Well, with that, we'll let you go.
Mm-hmm.
But don't worry, listeners. We got a little more Joshua coming in the bonus questions. So, with that, Joshua, we'll see you over there in a few.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you so much.
And we're back. Thank you so much, Joshua, for coming on and sharing your story. It was absolutely wonderful to talk with you. And thank you so much for all of the work you do at the Kink Collective as well. Just a reminder to everyone listening, links to all of the work that Joshua does over on our website, normalizingnon-monogamy.com. Click on the show notes page.
And thank you from my side as well, Joshua. It was wonderful to talk with you. And of course, look forward to having Kat and Natalie on and to have you back on for the triad episode in a couple of weeks. So,
and bonus questions.
Bonus questions. Oh, that's a great point. Listeners, get yourself over to the bonus questions. If you're not already a premium subscriber, you're not going to want to miss it. We have a great conversation with Joshua there as well. You can sign up on our homepage for just $4 a month.
Before we let you go, we wanted to remind you about a couple of upcoming dates and a reminder, too, that you can go over to our website, click on the events tab, and all of these dates are listed, so you don't need to scramble and write them down now. We just want you to know that they're coming up. The first is Wednesday, August 19th. That's our next virtual workshop for our community. So mark your calendars for that. It'll be called Transforming the Shame Triangle with author and therapist Jessica Fern. Next up, we have our in-person speedfriending event in Oakland, California, August 27th. That's open to anyone. And our virtual speedfriending event, Friday, October 2nd, also open to anyone. You just must be open-minded and respectful.
Yeah, we would love to have you come join us for any or all of these. And a quick reminder, you can find out more information under the events tab on our website. And then next week, we'll be back next week. We're talking with Kat. Yeah, we're talking with Kat, one of the co-founders of the Kink Collective. Another incredible conversation. So yeah, nothing more to say about that other than we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.